Hi, my name is Sasha, the girl behind Legends from Mom's Closet, and this is my book. But it's not just a book. We focus on dress up, learning, creativity, and saving our oceans. I couldn't fit all the legends I wanted to in my diary, but that's okay, because now I can share the legends in history and the legends of our days. Well, speaking about that, hello everyone. Today I have a really iconic guest, and we have something big in common. We both love vintage. She's a fashion illustrator, designer, and most people know her as Biba from the 60s. Please welcome the one and only Barbara Hulanicki.
Hello, how are you? Lovely to meet you.
I'm really good. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Oh.
And you know, the 60s are one of my favorite decades because of the fashion.
It's really nice, isn't it?
I love the patterns.
Yeah, because I think why the 60s is interesting, because what's going to happen now is that everybody came out after the war and there was nothing. So everything, you didn't have to do things that Paris did or somebody else. It was really genuine creativity and what you could produce. And people were so excited to be able to buy stuff, you see. That's what's interesting.
They're all from the 60s?
This is a bit 68, 69, yeah. We had a cosmetic brand, so this is what, because in those days, the 60s, there were no professional makeup artists, so you had to do everything yourself.
When you were a kid, did you know that fashion would be your passion?
I was brought up in Palestine where there were no shops. It was before Israel, before anything was going on there. I'm Polish Catholic. My father was Polish Consul General in Jerusalem, and then we had no shops or anything, and so I'd never seen a doll in my life. And my mother was amazing because she spent all her time drawing with us and making little dollies and making clothes for us, and it really was interesting. That's when the passion for fashion started, and more passion for shops to put fashion in, because that's a double interest, to have your own look of a shop and then put the stuff you want to put in there.
Do you consider yourself a role model?
No. A role model for what? Trouble.
Well, you're definitely a role model to me.
Really? Golly. Because nobody usually in America, I always test them and I say, do you know who Twiggy is? And they don't know.
Really?
Then I ask, do you know who Dior is? They don't know.
That's shocking.
Yeah, then I've given up with Biba, they wouldn't know. And I wrote a book called A to Biba, and they're starting to make the film now, which is a 6-part series on television. It should be interesting. Now that I know you're in love with Twiggy.
Yes.
I'm just working on an exhibition, because I've been doing some photography too. And
you took a picture of this?
Yes.
That's so beautiful.
This is some of the Biba photography.
That's the Biba photography?
Yeah, I did it, but I'll show you all the other ones that are all the other famous photographers. I have this gentleman who's just working like mad. Well, this is just a reportage.
A lot of my friends like to draw and to be creative, but they give up if they don't find their style. How did you find your style?
Oh, that's a terrible story. Because
well, my friends, they give up, but I try to encourage them, but sometimes it doesn't really work.
Yeah, but it's funny because my father was killed and we came over to England, and I had this really scary aunt who was completely in 1930s clothes, with diamonds and furs and everything. And she was like, I was 12, and she sort of brought us up. And the horror of whatever you would wear, and you went to see her, she would say, come to the bathroom, I'm going to redress you. And whatever we did was wrong, and wrong, and wrong. Okay, and it was all 1930s style. But then, when I was free of her, the first thing I did was I went back to all the wonderful things she was showing me from the 30s, and Biba was very into that period. Look, I've got lots and lots of...
Wow. I love this one.
You do?
So beautiful.
Oh gosh, that's a present for you.
Thank you.
Yes, I think it's very important to learn to draw. It really is.
Wow, you have so many.
Well, it's 30 years, 40 years.
Wow. Barbara, I know that you're an expert at fashion illustrations, and it would mean the world to me if you could teach me how to do them. Do you mind if we do that right now?
Oh yes, sure.
So I have some paper and some colored pencils with me.
You do. So you've got two eyes. Your nose. Do you draw a lot?
Yeah, I love to draw. Yeah. So I do it almost every day.
Oh, good. And then you can invent your eye makeup, can't you? With colors and things.
If somebody has a big dream, but things aren't working out the way they want them to, what advice would you give them?
Oh, never give up. I think when things aren't working out, that's when something will happen. It's very funny. When things are very good, it usually crashes. But if you're working at it, never give up. Because even if you don't use it there and then, that moment, when you want it, you put it away in your brain box, and then you'll come across something and wow, you're ready with it. It's incredible. I always find it's like having a library.
Did you ever want to give up?
Oh yes, thousands of times. Well, fashion, because I went into doing interiors and buildings for a while, but now the fashion's coming back, and I can't wait to see what happens after this dreadful time now, how it's going to work, because the factories will be gone and the shops will be gone, and so you'll have a completely new way of thinking again, which is going to be very exciting, I think.
So they must be really old now.
Yes, it's from '64. And this is another one. And that's very
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Photographer Sarah Moon, yeah. And this is another Sarah Moon. I loved her pictures.
They look like paintings.
But yeah, aren't they? Mm-hmm. That was the kind of look at the time, was sort of like turn of the century.
Twiggy was a big-time model for Biba, and she's actually one of the legendary women in my book. Hey, what's your favorite memory together?
It's fantastic, because in our first shop, it was very tiny. It was like 500 feet or something. And on a Saturday, it was always very dark, and the music was very loud. And I used to see every Saturday, I'd see this girl coming in, very young, and her face was so beautiful. It was like Greta Garbo. And then later on, we met her in the second shop, because we kept moving to bigger shops because we were so crowded. She came in and she said, "Oh, could you make me some clothes for the stage?" But I looked at her, so I can see you're tiny, even your shoes are size 3. So we had to do everything tiny for her, which was fantastic. And we've always remained friends, and I talk to her all the time now.
How long does it usually take you to do an illustration?
Depends what mood I'm in. Mm-hmm. If I'm feeling miserable, it's awful, because I used to have to sit there and draw for hours, deliver drawings, and I would have to, and then I discovered that however bad your day was, you have a fabulous hour. My hour was 4 o'clock, and suddenly all the drawings would come right at 4. And this, for instance, I call this tea stain. When you're doing a scanning of drawing, you can put that tea stain underneath, and I'll show you on some of these big blow-ups. It becomes an interesting piece underneath the drawing, you see, when it's being scanned.
Yeah, I understand.
Oh, I mean, when Audrey Hepburn came along, she was the first hero, fashion hero. Now you can tell people what you are after. I mean, she was amazing, the way she dressed, and oh my God. And I met her once because I used to do illustration for magazines before going to art school, and used to have to go to Givenchy, Balenciaga, and everybody to illustrate the collections. And she was always, I met her once in the elevator, and I was like, and she was so sweet because she was smiling away. And I was speechless. I couldn't ask her anything. And she was always, because she worked very closely with Givenchy to do all these wonderful clothes. It's Sabrina Fair. That was the big film.
Well, you know, Audrey Hepburn is another legend in my book.
You do?
Yes, I dressed up as her.
Oh. She's amazing,
Yes,
absolutely amazing. And I had this really weird thing happened in the 70s. This wonderful lady that was doing sort of styling for films, she comes to me and she says, I want you to do all the clothes for Audrey Hepburn's next film. And I was like, I thought I was going to pass out. I thought, this is my life's ambition, and it's come in the 3rd or 4th year of us doing fashion. Oh, so excited. I was making samples and things, and then Fitz and I never went to parties, but one night we go to this party full of designers. And we went to this party, and I mean really famous ones in England, and every designer, I said, what are you doing? I'm doing the costumes for Audrey Hepburn. And the other, I was so upset, it was terrible. She'd gone round to every designer and said, you've got the job. It was awful.
So what happened? Who made the costumes?
The costumes were dreadful. It was that last film where she was, I can't remember the name of it. I didn't even want to see it. It was so upsetting. Well, lips are all over the place. I mean, sometimes they're beautiful, sometimes they're, ooh, I love this. The expression. Is that what you're feeling at the moment? I'm very worried. I think you're a comic.
How do you feel when people copy you?
What, clothes-wise? I mean, design-wise? Mm-hmm. Oh, I think it's very good, because I feel it's, I've done something right. If they want to copy you and they're not being rude about your designs, that's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's, I mean, if they can do it, if they do it cheaper than you, yeah, that would worry me. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But if they're doing it more expensive, I think, wow, that is great.
I think I'm done.
You think?
Yeah.
I love it. I think you should sign it.
Okay.
She's got to have a name. Now you have to build a character around, a story around Sasha.
Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video with the phenomenal Barbara Hulanicki. Barbara, you gave me some great advice, so I think I'm ready to take on the fashion world now.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Good.
I'm sure that your work will always be remembered in the world of fashion, and thank you so much for inviting me to your studio.
It was lovely having you. It was really wonderful, and I so enjoyed watching you draw.
Thank you so much.
And no, it was wonderful. It was very interesting to hear your comments, and I can't wait to look at the book.
Thank you so much.
And I hope I'll get the other book too.
Of course.